got devoted to you. I got you.
They'll let you go.
I wish I could have. I should have went live like 5 minutes ago, and everybody just missed the greatest. You know what I mean? Conversation about first round picks and all that other stuff. And we're gonna get to all the funny stuff. We're gonna do an ice cream Hall of Fame draft, ice cream truck Hall of Fame draft, because we strayed too far from God this time, and the Choco Taco is now discontinued, which is a stab wound to my childhood. I feel myself getting 10 years older. I've aged, and it's happening before our very eyes. So shout out to Choco Taco. We are going to do an NBA look ahead. We're going to see, based on this offseason, which team helped themselves the most and took a step forward, and which team did themselves a disservice and took a step back. And then we're going to go around the NFL and pick our division rival we got one eye on. That, you know, maybe not nervous, but, you know, we got to see what you know, what the Bengals are doing or what the Lions are doing, huh? Jared Goff is coming. Jared Goff is coming for you. Justin Marvel of this Justin. How's that Alan Lazard number one wide receiver thing going?
Oh, you didn't see my post the other day. You didn't
no,
see
I didn't.
Snag he had over Eric Stokes in the back shoulder fade in the end zone. You didn't see. Oh, you need to go and check my personal profile on Instagram, and you'll see that. Oh, Alan Lazard.
That, oh my God, enamored by the helmet and shorts. The NFL offseason is up to a roaring start. Yeah. Sports. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stuff About Sports. I am the Facebook felon Germ. Bert is off for another week, but this time I have assembled Voltron. I have the Don and JT from JT and the Don, and I have Justin Marvel from This Justin, hashtag This Justin. And guys, today is a wonderful day. We have a lot to cover. Deshaun Watson came and fucked up the show, so I had to throw him in there, but we're going to get to that. And then we're going to have a little bit of fun. Fat or stupid? Which clause is worse for Kyler Murray or Zion Williamson? What does that say for each athlete, that they have these clauses built into their contracts? And then the Deshaun Watson clause that's in his contract, or part of the ruling now, part of his contract now, which is hilarious. NFL rival that has a sweating. NBA teams that stepped up or stepped back in the Ice Cream Truck Hall of Fame. And as I said, I got my good friends, JT and the Don, and This Just In, these wonderful sports shows, wonderful social media accounts here that you can go follow on the Instagrams, and give them guys a shout. Go find their podcast. They got all the links on that stuff. So please support the people that support us and give them a follow. Gentlemen, we have a lot to cover, so let's just get right into it. Deshaun Watson. Oh, not yet. What you got for me?
I'm low-key jealous of what JT and the Don do in terms of their graphics on the cheese on bread. Like their stuff is sexy. It's like, oh God, I'm about to post, right, and then they see they put up something like, yeah, forget it.
And they're on it too. Like they're on it. They got green screen effects. Look at a green screen. It's dirty. When like I watch when they do their little video posts, their reels, and they're talking about something, and they got like flying doves and lightning and shit behind them. It's fucking great, man. I love it. That's awesome.
How about hey, where's the log out button? I already see what type of show it's going to be.
So that's all JT, by the way, man. Props to him. I'm technologically challenged, so that's all JT.
He just
shout out to JT, man. Yeah, hey, listen, heady play by the Don then, because I wouldn't want to do that shit either. Like that's a lot of work, man. That's a lot of work to do, and so yeah, guys. So the ruling came out finally after a year, what it seems like 24 hours. And 24 hours have made it seem like 24 years now that we're talking about this Deshaun Watson thing. And Judge Sue Robinson gave her report, gave her recommendation that Deshaun Watson should get suspended 6 games for basically sexually assaulting 5 women, because she only, outside of the allegations or however many people he settled with, she took the 5, I guess, I don't know if you want to say the word best cases, but the 5 top cases, I would say, or the most damning cases. And according to her report, he did that shit. and so they gave him 6 games. She determined he lied. She determined his behavior was egregious and foul. And the fact, and she actually kind of threw shots at the NFL for kind of allowing this type of behavior and not, setting a better precedent for her to rule judgment, which I feel like was her job to fix, but apparently it's not. But we do have a legal expert in our midst. Donato, the man, came in with all the legalese, and he's going to school us exactly why Judge Sue Robinson should no longer be a judge. Go ahead, Don.
I won't go that far, but Jeremiah, you may be onto something. Just to break it down, real quick, she looked at three things. One, and I won't try to get too boring, but I'll get to the point, right? She looked at standard of review, meaning what did, or burden of proof, sorry, what did the NFL have to prove? This isn't the beyond a reasonable doubt. It's preponderance of the evidence, meaning more likely than not. If you feel like 51% he did it, over 49% he didn't do it, she has to rule and discipline him. Second, she then needs to look into, did he actually violate the NFL's player personal conduct? And then three, what would the discipline be? And she can use, certain precedents, as Jerm mentioned, other cases and how they ruled. So she did. I mean, she ruled that he violated three provisions of the NFL's personal conduct policy by engaging in one, sexual assault, two, conduct that poses a genuine danger to the safety and well-being of another person, and then three, conduct that undermines or puts at risk the integrity of the NFL. So not just one thing, but three things that she found he violated. Now, you take that, Germ, they started with five. She threw one out. I guess maybe there wasn't good enough evidence there. So she narrowed it down to 4 cases. So you've got 4 cases. He violated 3 things on 4 of those cases. So in reality, he violated it. He violated 12 times the conduct policy. Now, going to the punishment part, right? She states that undisputed that Watson's conduct does not fall into the category of violent conduct that would require a minimum 6 games. So she doesn't feel like it fell under that. So she doesn't need to give the minimum 6 games based on the history of the NFL's punishments. Now, the other thing is those 6 games were suspensions for domestic or gendered violence in sexual acts. The highest severity that was given for one of those was 10 games by a multiple acts of domestic violence. And that was Greg Hardy, which got reduced to 4 games, actually. So that's why she didn't go to the full year of what the NFL wanted. The NFL wanted a full year plus an indefinite afterward for them to reinstate him. She didn't want to go that far because she said 10 games was the most, and that dealt with multiple acts of domestic violence. So in her opinion, Deshaun Watson's acts were not violent. They were sexual assaults, but not violent. Now, I'm sure to the victims, they would disagree. And to a lot of people.
Yeah, like nutting on somebody who doesn't want to be nutted on is not violence. I mean, I don't know.
Right. So that's just one thing right there where I think she could have overruled herself and overruled the NFL and said, this was violent, minimum 10 games, but I'm going to go with the full year because I agree with what Germ said. I thought they redid this whole discipline policy and process because the NFL got it wrong many times before, from Ray Rice to Greg Hardy. I mean, you go down the line. I thought that's why they went with the arbitrator to then say, you need to reset this precedent. And even if Deshaun Watson wants to appeal it, that is fine, but we need to reset it. And I think the one thing she discredited was 2 things. One was how many acts he committed. She says that multiple acts of violence got 10 games. Well, to me, did he not commit this 4 different times to 4 different women? Even though he wasn't given advance notice, that's on him because he committed so many in a short period of time. I mean, if someone hits 5 people, you're going to say, well, that's all one together. The NFL's only going to punish them one time. No, they're going to take all 5 of that into consideration and probably give a higher suspension than if it was just one person, right? I mean, there's a common behavior here by Deshaun Watson, and it's egregious. And she admitted that, yet was unwilling to give a higher suspension. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I compare it to the Trevor Bauer situation where the MLB, I thought, gets it right. They're not messing around. They gave him 2 years suspension. If you look at her ruling, she also says, and I'll leave you with this. Sorry to take up a lot of time. She goes, 3 games was basically the norm for Deshaun Watson's actions based on NFL precedents. Okay, you want to go 3 games. He committed 3 violations per victim. So I don't know. Do the math. 3 times 4 is what? 12, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you also on top of that have to go 12 times, or I'm sorry, you take 3 times 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 violations, right? 3 games. That's 9. 4 victims. 9 times 4 is 36. Sorry, I'm a law guy, not a math guy, even though I love math. But that's 36 games. We're talking almost 2 seasons, which ironically is almost in line with what the MLB did. So if she had gone as high as 2 years, she could have justified it via, her memo and then let Deshaun Watson appeal it. I think she took the easy way out. She's putting it on the NFL to appeal it. And then basically, if they raise it more than 6 games, Deshaun Watson's going to file a lawsuit in federal court, and we're back to Deflategate through the courts.
JT.
I mean, it's kind of hard to follow that. I agree with everything Don said. Thank you for your legal expertise. That's why they call you expert. I'm going to keep it short. Keep it short and simple. NFL this week have showed me 2 things I already know. They don't care about women, and they don't care about minorities. Shout out to the Brian Flores ruling. Don't let that distract you from this Deshaun Watson bullshit. But I agree with everything he said. Like, how could you say, you look at those cases and say, I think he lied to me. I think he did this shit. And I low-key think he's going to be a danger going forward and say, all right, 6 games. Like, that makes no sense. Like, how does that protect the people in that building that are working for the Browns that now have to deal with this dude? Like, it's ridiculous. And I'm just going to say, look, with all this crap that the NFL has thrown at us now, and obviously they got it wrong, just go free Calvin Ridley. Like, that's the main thing they should be doing. Go free Calvin Ridley. Give Deshaun Watson the Bauer treatment. Shit, give him 3 years. I take all his money, give him 3 years. And that's the other thing I was upset about. It's like, not only does he get a bad suspension, but his money is untouched. Like, what is he losing? What, like $500,000 out of all the
$300,000?
Exactly. This man just signed a fully guaranteed contract for half of Bill Gates' money, and like that's all he's going to lose. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Calvin Ridley will lose $11.1 million for placing a legal $1,500 bet for his team to win while he was out playing, and he's going to not play 17 games. And Deshaun Watson is only going to lose $350,000 of his $230 million guaranteed money, and I think he's only making like $3 million this year. He's going to make 40-something million next year. It's a joke. Go ahead, Justin.
But I will say this. I will say this, Don. I do think that it was kind of cowardly of her to put it on the NFL. But if you're going to do that, hey, I want to see what the NFL is going to do. Because, Jern, we talked about this before the show. You are under this opinion that Goodell's just going to go scorch earth and just do the right thing. History tells us that's not what's going to happen. Like, NFL is going to find the best way to appease the owners. The Browns want Deshaun Watson to play, and I think 6 games are going to be done with it. At max, he gets 8, which is ridiculous.
But that's why she took the easy way out, I thought, JT, because if she had made it higher when Deshaun goes to appeal it, now the NFL is either got to uphold it or they're going to look bad and reduce it, right? So she said, you know what, NFL, it's going to be on you, because now people are going to forget in the future that it was her that made the decision. It was the NFL that didn't punish him.
So I have a lot to say in this, right? And I disagree. I don't think she took the easy way out. I think precedent sets a huge situation for this, right? And she can only do what, a judge is allowed to do via precedent. And I'll say this, right? I'll take quotes. I thought I was coming to be the legal expert, but Don really showed me up. So it's kind of hard to follow. But here's a quote or two that really shows me it's really NFL's fault and not hers. Direct quote. Here, the NFL is attempting to impose a more dramatic shift in its culture without the benefit of fair notice to and consistency of consequence for those in the NFL subject to the policy. So essentially, she is saying, you are putting the onus on me to reset this precedent in a matter of short time, and that is not fair for whom the policy extends to, obviously meaning the players. So if you wanted the ruling in which you wanted, and that's the 1 year that everyone expected, you had to go back and retroactively fix this. You are trying to take all the onus of blame off of yourself. No, I'll go back a bit. I understand why the NFL started to look for independent arbitrators, honestly, because they had the bad rep that Goodell was starting to be seen as judge, jury, and executioner. You want to get away from that. Fine. But you had to find, prior to this situation, a way to reset the precedent and not wait for the public outcry now to say, okay, we're going to bring an independent arbitrator to do this for us. And the problem is, as Dawn highlighted, all right, granted that sexual assault is terrible, right? The problem is this was nonviolent by law. Like, forget what we feel. By law, this is nonviolent. And if, as you pointed out, Greg Hardy had 10 games for a violent act, you as a judge with that precedent set can't then turn around and go beyond that. It's just not going to happen.
Justin, if I may, since you're going down that route, I'll rebut you there, because you bring up a good point, and I have that written down in my notes. That is one of the other things she says, is that they didn't define it, and they didn't define like sexual assault, and they didn't define what the consequences are. So it would be unfair as one of the prongs to go without notice of change of what constitutes conduct that is in violation, that she could not give a harsher sentence or consequence. Sorry. But this is where I disagree. We're not in a court of law, Justin. I'm sorry. That's where having a judge like this that did federal crimes is going way too much to the letter of the law. Well, you don't have this defined. You don't have sentencing guidelines in there. Well, what I would say is the NFL is not in the business of the law, of writing the law. They're in the business of football and making money. I think we would all agree there. So for her to say, well, it's not in there of what is the definition of sexual assault and then how you punish it, I would say, well, hold on. So basically the NFL has to come up with the NFL rule books of law pertaining to players and literally go down every possible circumstance.
And they have to.
No, they don't.
And hold on, what
Deshaun Watson did, Justin, could not be possibly contemplated. And what other people may do cannot be contemplated. And that's why it's the NFL and it's not the government. So for her to go down that line of thinking is too far for what they brought her in for.
But she has to, because then, Don, the problem is when it gets appealed, this is a court of law. It goes to then. So like, you can't decide to base your judgment on anything but that. You brought in a lawyer, and she knows full well when this gets appealed. And I'll go further to make her point, right? There are quotes. Because at first it was like you. But again, when you bring in a lawyer, you are going to expect these kind of rulings. And her, as she said, right? Looking at the record when compared to the relevant precedent and looking forward to how this disciplinary determination might be used in the future, I find it the most appropriate landing place to be as follows, right? Mr. Watson is hereby suspended for 6 regular season games without pay. Now, here's the most important point in my estimation. Although this is the most significant punishment ever imposed on an NFL player for allegations of non-violent sexual conduct, Mr. Watson's pattern of conduct is more egregious than ever before reviewed by the NFL. So she's essentially saying, I am aware of how terrible these acts are. Unfortunately, you have had cases that can be deemed worse than this, and this is what you did. So I cannot thereby then come and reset your precedent for you because you have put it there, and I can't reset it for you because you have not given the players who abide by a CBA, oh my God, where are words failing me now? But we all know what CBA stands for.
Yeah, they agreed to the collective bargaining agreement. And thank you.
So
thank you for bringing that up.
Collective bargaining agreement, which, as you know, Dawn, is full of all legal language. And you have this language in that collective bargaining agreement, but now you are asking me to go against that when you've had time and time and time again to set this. So I don't blame that at her. I blame this on the NFL precedents before.
Hey, I'm glad you brought up the collective bargaining agreement, because that's what this all boils down to. And me and JT were just talking about this before you came on. Guess who didn't want this stupid arbitrator nonsense business involved in the collective bargaining agreement? You guessed it, Roger Goodell. This was forced upon him by the collective bargaining agreement. This is going according to Roger Goodell's plan. Yes, Sue Robinson, be light-handed. Do whatever you got to do. Trust me, I've thought about all the conspiracy theories. I think they're all in cahoots. Roger Goodell didn't want this, but this is a new punishment system because the NFL has had missteps with punishments. Ray Rice, they overcorrected with Ezekiel Elliott, the Ben Roethlisberger thing. Like there's just been so many. They haven't been consistent with their punishments, and somebody has to be the first one. It's going to be Deshaun Watson. Roger Goodell, they spent millions of dollars for this just to happen. Roger Goodell will appeal this. He's going to give Deshaun Watson a full year, and then Deshaun Watson's going to sue. Hey, I don't want this full year. And then they're going to settle on 10 to 12 games, maybe 8. JT is pretty adamant about 8. Whatever, 8 to 12 games. It will be more than 6 because this is what Roger Goodell wanted. Now, that will be when it is. The Cleveland Browns put out a ridiculous statement. Kevin Stefanski is out here saying we stand by the ruling. Oh, really? You stand by the findings of Judge Sue Robinson. So you know what you're signing up for, Kevin Stefanski. A massage rapist, serial sexual assaulter, Deshaun Watson in your locker room. That's what you're standing behind because she said he did these things. And so if there's 5 or 4, I'm sorry, Don has pointed out, if there's 4, I'm going to assume there's 5. I'm probably going to assume there's 6. There's going to be more. And Deshaun Watson, as evident by history, is not going to stop. The fact that they have a clause now that he can only see massage therapists hired by the Cleveland Browns organization says so much about this entire joke of a case. If you haven't read the document she released, it's a stunning document. She plainly acknowledges that this dude committed these crimes. Like there's no, she did. I know the FBI and whoever the other judges did she did her own. She did this. This is what she's hired for. He did this shit. So all you idiots out there on social media acting like he's exonerated from something, he's not. Texas has one of the most brutal, you have to prove you were sexually assaulted statutes out there. It's very hard to prove outside of video recording and all this other stuff. You can't criminally charge this guy. The inability to indict does not mean innocence. I don't know how much more evidence you need from just celebrities and other athletes in the past that just because the women, and this is why women don't come forward at all. They're all gold diggers. Yeah, I'm sure some of them were hopping on trying to get paid, but there's women who gave their stories up without even being part of the lawsuit. It's 30. It was over 30 women, dog. Like that's not.
It's ridiculous.
That's not Ben Roethlisberger, where one incident happened by one woman and that's it. This is 30. This is not Robert Kraft, who was paying for hand jobs at a massage parlor. This is a dude standing up with his 6'4", or however tall he is, framed 230-pound body with a woman in the corner as he's beating off and ejaculating on her. That's not the same as Robert Kraft's old ass just laying on a table getting a hand job from a woman who offered him to give him a hand job for money. They're different. This guy had 67 massage therapists outside of the 30 plus that the Houston Texans provided him in 17 months. I mean, it's a ridiculous. It's like the fact that look at what's in front of you and be a human for a second. This guy has a problem. His lawyer already dry snitched on him way when this whole thing first started. And then he goes on the radio talking about hand jobs aren't illegal, or happy endings aren't illegal. All of it is a joke. It's very gross. Hopefully this is teed up for the Roger Goodell face turn, right? Roger Goodell has been Vince McMahon, evil Vince McMahon for all these years. This is the perfect setup for him to come out and do the right thing and tell Deshaun Watson to go fuck off. And all you Cleveland Browns fans that were out there clamoring and running up to Deshaun Watson like he was some rock star today at training camp, you're all losers. You 9-year-old kids, Your kids are losers. You're a loser. That everybody, all of you are losers. It's a joke. That's a. My man Ricky says that's bad. Argued nonviolent actions. A player gets suspended for a year for gambling, but opposed to assault on multiple occasions. That's worse. It is BS. Yeah. So yeah, Calvin really has to be punched in the air right now.
So Robinson wouldn't have appealed on that, or she would not have ruled on that. So like you can't put that on her. Like reality is.
Oh no, it's not really. No, we're past her, right? This is overarching NFL problem, right? Like this is like, damn dog, a whole year for this. Like okay, fine, gambling's.
Germ, that's where I'm not so sure the NFL that it's totally guaranteed that they're going to appeal, because this is, I think, their concern. They have a open investigation, I believe, still with Daniel Snyder.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I'm sorry. Yeah.
What was the punishment with Robert Kraft? And I would disagree with you that yes, what Deshaun Watson did in terms of the volume is worse, but we'll save it for another day. But what Robert Kraft did too should not be swept under the rug, because he knew he knew what the epicenter of that massage parlor is about, which
I'm
is
with you.
Sex,
yes.
Human trafficking.
Yes.
In that that is beyond our understanding in this.
We don't know if he knew that. He knows that he went there and he can get hand jobs if he gave him $50.
If he didn't know that,
I will say
he's an uninformed billionaire then, because that's a ridiculous.
Those exist.
Can't claim ignorance, in my opinion.
I got you, but the main difference between the Robert Kraft thing and a lot of even the Ben Roethlisberger, Kobe Bryant, Deshaun Watson thing is he was illegally videotaped doing it. That case went away because the police were illegally doing business. Not the best way to catch these guys.
Just like
he wasn't initiating the sex act. The sex act was offered and given to him. That's what they're there for. Deshaun Watson paid masseuses to give him a massage, and then he gets up and jerks off in front of them. That's different. That's a totally different thing.
We won't go down the line, but I disagree, because even if it's illegally recorded, again, NFL shouldn't be concerned if it's illegally recorded or not. It's not a court of law, because when they try to do that, when the NFL tries to do that, people then say, oh, well, why are you punishing them? Because it didn't happen in a court of law. But when they don't punish, they should say, oh, you should, even though it didn't happen in a court of law. So they're an independent private company organization. They don't need to go by the criminal law. I mean, if they find, again, preponderance of the evidence, not beyond a reasonable doubt, they can include that video of Robert Kraft, just as in this situation of Deshaun Watson, if one existed, even if they weren't going to use it in court.
Right. But the problem is, Don, even if they're operating outside the court of law in their initial judgment, the part of the problem is where do you think the appeals process is going to end up?
But I mentioned that. I mentioned that already. She admitted on the record in her memo, if she does it properly, and she said it, 3 games for this act in the past. Okay, that's fine. But you just admitted in the memo that beyond preponderance of the evidence, there was 3 violated provisions of the NFL's personal conduct. And how many victims do we have? So again, 3 provisions were violated, 3 games for each provision. That's 9. There were 4 victims outside of the 24. They only brought in 5 on 5 cases of the 24. They threw one of them out because I'm guessing there wasn't enough there. So she heard 4 of them. Again, 4 times 9 is 36 games, Justin. Put that in the memo. Explain it. Here's your precedence that it was 3 games. 3 violations per victim is 36 games. Let the appeal court overturn you for once. Own up to it. Be a judge. Own up to it. If they overturn you, fine. That is fine. But you did your job.
Let me say this, and I know Jerm probably wants to move on quickly, but for me, personally, I would have suspended him 2 years. And the reason for 2 years, right, it goes past the actual acts, because on top of that, you've not shown any remorse in that you personally made sure that your contract was not going to be hit hard, because you knew likelihood you may be suspended for a full year. So of that historic $230 million, or how much ever it was, only $1 million of it is in your first year. Why is that? because you wanted to avoid losing most of your money.
Because he knew he was guilty.
Exactly. So I would say, well, if that is what you're doing, I'm going to make sure to get your money and I'm going to hit you with 2. So Dawn, in that aspect, yeah, I want to hit him hard too. But again, I don't think that is her responsibility. Like, if you are so
she could have proved, she could have explained it.
Her job as the arbiter, is to present her findings, right? At the end of the day, it is going to be on Goodell. The fact that she's suggesting 6 games and it's being reported that that's what he's getting is kind of fraudulent, right? Her job is to give an opinion. It's Goodell and the NFL's job to punish him. He could tell her to fuck off and say, nah, we're giving him 17 games. So like, people are putting a little too much stock into what she's saying. And I do want to move. We could have a whole show. It sucks that this broke, but I want to do some fun stuff. But I will say, this is not, Don is right. This is not court of law stuff. We're not judging him based on how many women he jerked off in front of. We're judging him on the NFL conduct policy. You are not allowed to make the NFL look bad. Don just said it, right? Nobody in the past decade has done more damage to the Shield in public relations than Deshaun Watson has. That's why he deserved to get hit hard. Your job, you are not allowed to put the NFL in a bad light. And you're not making minimum wage, buddy. All right. You could have hired a full-time massage therapist, not have Mia Khalifa in a sexy maid's outfit dunking in your kitchen basketball hoop. You know what I mean?
That's still the wildest video of all time.
It's insane that came out during this time and nobody really said much about it. He could have hired a full-time massage therapist, like a regular person, like a regular athlete. You think LeBron or Tom Brady are running around visiting a list of 100 massage therapists around the country for 24-hour service? They have one. Because they restrict who works on their bodies because of this issue. Deshaun Watson was not looking for massage therapy. He was looking to get jerked off. And that's it. It's sick. And I do want to move on. We could do this. If we want to do this another show, we can come back and do this another show. Deshaun Watson, not Deshaun. See, you guys got me talking about. Go to Cleveland, dog. Ride up on this fool. So Kyler Murray, Zion Williamson, both signed extensions with their current teams. After Kyler Murray threw a temper tantrum and Zion Williamson threw a little mini temper tantrum and then went to go dunk on some 7th graders to show that he's not as injured as he pretended to be all year. Now they got their money. All of a sudden, everybody's healthy. Everybody's happy, singing along. Yet, there's trouble afoot. There's trouble. Zion Williamson, get your fat ass in the gym. We don't want you weighing over 285 or whatever the hell the number is. Hey, Kyler Murray, you need to study, buddy. You don't study film. You keep falling apart in the playoffs. And now you're mad at us deleting us off of social media. Guys, I'm going to start with you, JT. Clauses in the contract. Which one looks worse for which player, and how do you feel about these types of clauses for these players?
Well, I'll start with how I feel about the clauses in general. Like the Zion thing, I think is legitimate. Well, because one, you're dealing with a guy who has proven that he doesn't want to be there. Like the only reason he's still there is because you guys basically bribed him with mad money. So let's get that out in the open, first of all. But it's true. Like Zion has proved that he cannot overcome being fat. Like that's literally why he hasn't done anything in the NBA. So if I'm going to invest in this person, I need to make sure that they're able to perform at the best level they can. So if he can't put down the food, and him putting down the food is the best way to get him on the court, I have no problem putting that in the clause. Now, the Kyler one, I have an issue with. And I want to go back to something you just said. Oh, he threw a temper tantrum. First of all, I feel like the short jokes with Kyler, the shit's funny. I get it. But nobody else has to put up with the kind of shit that he does. Like, so what? He's little. He's a baller. But also, two, I don't like the narrative that, one, when black quarterbacks ask for their money, it's a distraction and complaining, because if they were getting their money at the rate that the other quarterbacks were, Josh Allen behind the scenes when nobody was asking for it, it would be different. That man has balled out. He's a top 10 quarterback. He shouldn't even have to ask. They should be going to him to say, look, dude, when can we sign you? So I don't care that he, had to work to get his money. Now I do have an issue.
How many playoff wins does Kyler Murray have?
Okay, you can do that with a lot of quarterbacks.
How
many playoff wins did Josh Allen have before he got extended?
2.
How many playoff appearances did he have?
Yeah, how many playoff appearances? Josh Allen beat Lamar Jackson, the MVP in the playoffs. Josh Allen has more playoff wins than Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson gets more pub than anybody.
We'll
I
do
mean,
this another time because I know
okay.
I'm on with two delusional franchise people.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
And-
distract you. Go ahead.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
Aaron Rodgers. No, we'll do that another time. But
Yep.
Josh Allen, everybody acts like he didn't play football for his first 2 years. But I feel like with Kyler, what about his performance has said that he doesn't put time into studying the game? Like, he came into the league as a baller. Is it his fault that Cliff Kingsbury is kind of doing the same shit he did in college, where he's not a winning coach? That offense struggles when it comes time to get in scoring position, which is basically it only works between the 20s. Like, this is who Cliff Kingsbury is, but it's like, oh, because he's the coach, we're just gonna, forget about him. Are we just gonna forget that Kyler Murray has played so well that he basically saved the GM Steve Keim's job? Wasn't he supposed to be fired before Kyler Murray got there? So I'm thinking, if Kyler Murray has saved all these people's jobs and reputations and ascended this franchise, and he ain't studying, get the fuck out of his way and let him do what he's doing, because it's working. Everything around him is not working. So I really have a problem with his clause. And also, the obvious thing is, it goes back to a deep-rooted fallacy and has troublesome racial undertones that black quarterbacks just aren't smart. So I don't see them putting any clauses like this in any other quarterbacks, even when they're athletic. Did Josh Allen get one of these in his contract? I don't think so. And he's running around playing street ball too. So I just think it looks bad. And I think they didn't think that people would notice, but as soon as it hit the media, got backlash, and that's why they had to take it back. And rightfully so, they should have.
Now, the difference is with Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray already admitted that he doesn't watch a lot of film. He says he plays the game. He goes by what he sees on the field, not what he sees on film. So if you're going to offer a bunch of money for a guy who hasn't really produced, I'm not mad at the clause.
But what's your definition of not really producing, though?
How many playoff? You're a franchise quarterback is supposed to put you in position to make the playoffs.
He has.
No, he hasn't. How many? He has one playoff appearance.
He has put them in position to be a playoff team.
A half glass full does not make a glass full. Like this is
how many years has he played, though, guys? I mean, what was that? His third year, second?
How many years has Joe Burrow played? Let's put it in perspective. Wait. No. Hold on. This new era of football. Lamar Jackson, how many years did he play before he made MVP? How many years did Josh Allen took a 17-year drought? I know Tyrod Taylor brought him there, but the Bills now are consistent mainstays in damn near the AFC title game. Joe Burrow has made the Super Bowl. You're the second highest player in the quarterback in the league. And what if you put his resume up against the others in his class? He is far below. Below.
But see, that's the problem I have. Why are we, when it's time for Kyler Murray to get paid, it's like, oh, what is he?
Because he hasn't earned it, is what I'm saying. Because he hasn't earned it.
But when other quarterbacks get paid, it's like, well, he's a starter. Next man up. That's just the going rate.
Give me an example of who you're talking about. Because Kyler Murray,
any quarterback, like, okay, what has he played any more or less than Kirk Cousins?
But the difference between Kirk Cousins is the NFL. Kirk Cousins played the game. He allowed himself to get franchise tagged. He didn't make a big deal of it because he knew, hey, I'm not going to make a
guaranteed contract.
And he's earned it for 10 years of being a top 10 quarterback statistically. That's why. Go ahead, Justin. I saw you rolling your eyes at some of this ridiculous nonsense.
Well, I would say, Jerm, how many playoff wins does Kirk Cousins have? I don't like to defend JT, but
so
how many
the difference is
he had none. How many did he honestly have before he went to Minnesota?
Playoff games without him with Case Keenum.
I mean,
yeah, but he has 10 years of he franchise tagged himself to death. He grew his own market, and he has 10 years of consistent, reliable play where he's shown up and done everything he was supposed to do. We're going to really see about Kirk Cousins this year, because if you read
those Monday night games would say otherwise.
You know what, Jerm?
You can pick one arbitrary stat. Yeah,
I'll take it a step further. We can't argue this point right now, but this I'm telling you right now. So everybody who's watching this show, this is exactly what's going to happen. We're going to bitch about Kyler Murray getting his money, and then Justin Herbert is not going to win any playoff games. He's going to get extended without any recourse, and everybody's going to say it's the good thing. And I'm going to be like, what is?
Would you rather have Justin Herbert or Kyler Murray?
I can have either one. Or are we
No,
going
no, no.
off
I'm
of
asking
production?
you. No,
Are we
no,
going
no.
off of
Don't do
production
that.
of what they've
Hey,
done?
hey, Miami Dolphins need a quarterback. You get to pick Kyler Murray or Justin Herbert. Who you taking?
If Mike McDaniel's my coach, I might pick Kyler Murray because it looks like you need to be.
All right. Hey, Justin, you go ahead. Hey, never mind, dog. Hey, Justin, you go ahead, man. Go ahead. Just
I don't know which quarterback JD has been watching talking about balling up, but let's go through these numbers for this supposed Kyler Murray who deserves all this money. This guy does not even have a 500 record. He is 22, 23, and 1 as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Only made the playoffs once. Absolutely once. All 3 of his years that he has been in the league, he has thrown double-digit interceptions in an era in which all of these quarterbacks have been protecting the football. He does not even have a year where he went 3-1 touchdown to interception ratio. His highest passing quarter or touchdown season is one of 26. 26 in an era loaded of passing yards. Are you kidding me?
Justin,
No.
Justin, tell me how many times has Kyler Murray thrown over for 4,000 passing yards in a season? Don't worry, buddy. I'll tell you, it's 0.
But forget that. Forget basic stats. Let's get down to the reason why the Arizona Cardinals put that language in his contract, but stupidly removed it. We seem to forget in the offseason, right, when the news broke that they thought that just like the guy that just left Cleveland, that Kyler Murray was a child in the room, and everyone kept noise. We forgot that a noted leader in the locker room, one of his offensive linemen, mirrored that exact same sentiment. JT seems to forget this, and I refuse to make this a racial issue. And I am a guy who knows what black quarterbacks have been through, because we had no noise. There's no such thing in Patrick Mahomes' contract. And Patrick Mahomes is as street ball as it gets. I'm sure he doesn't study. There was no such language in Dak Prescott's contract. There was no such language in Russell Wilson's contract. The reason it is in his, because the Cardinals know damn well that boy is not studying, and he is not a leader. He is not putting the work into his craft. These people are not idiots. They know what they have. Kyler Murray should never have gotten that massive contract, because he has proven absolutely nothing. Every single year we say the same thing about the Arizona Cardinals. They start hot, and then when teams begin to figure out Kyler Murray, he is injury prone and cannot.
And that's the problem I had, and that's why I said,
hold on, JT.
Kyler Murray is holding that franchise afloat. To be honest, the real issue is Cliff Kingsbury. The real issue is Cliff Kingsbury. And you're letting Cliff Kingsbury get away with their collapse every year. Like, other than DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray is propping up a bunch of B-listers. Let's be honest.
Hold on. I'm going to push back on that. You know what? I had the chance to see it live and direct, because we had to play that Arizona Cardinals team last season without our top 3 wide receivers, including Devontae Adams and Allen Lazard. And that game in Glensdale, sat down and figured it out. We said, okay, well, then don't pressure him, keep him in the pocket, and let's see him do quarterback things that he doesn't have to break down the play and be all that backyard stuff. Looked damn well average. You know why? Because he's not studying, he is not taking the game or not developing his craft. Kyler Murray is a very gifted athlete, but up here they know, the Arizona Cardinals know that what they have in that quarterback, and that is why they put the language clause. I'm so sorry that you've gone down this line of racism with these black quarterbacks, because there are quarterbacks who have to deal with that. But Kyler Murray isn't one. Tell me, JT, how is this a situation of a black quarterback facing the stigma of his race when he was given money he has not earned? Like he has made the playoffs once every season. The Arizona Cardinals start out hot and they fade towards the end, and the quarterback stats always fading. Why?
Well, I will say this to answer your question about the fade. I like how it's just on him, but not on the coaching. So they could figure out the quarterback who's getting the play call from the coach, but it's not
how the game goes, man. The quarterback gets the blame and they get the credit. I mean,
you can't get
and they get paid. I think Cliff Kingsbury is a shitty coach. That's just me. But to answer your question about the racial aspect, I think with Kyler, it's more of I was going for the historical context, but just look at this whole offseason. All the anonymous people giving all these negative quotes about quarterbacks. What color are they? Mahomes, he's not hiding from that either. It might not be in his contract, but what's the thing? Oh, he can't read defenses. Take away his first read, he's playing street ball. Lamar, he's not a smart quarterback. Like it might not be in their contracts, but that is the thought of these quarterbacks around the league. Like
I don't agree with what Mahomes said.
You may be right, JT, but just because there is that stigma doesn't mean it doesn't apply to Kyler Murray. Huh? Just because, like, don't get me wrong, the stigma should not be attached to Lamar Jackson. It should not be attached to Patrick Mahomes. It should not be attached to Dak Prescott. But that does not mean that Kyler Murray is not living off of his pure athleticism. Like, I'm going to ask you a question, and that you dodged it particularly. If you had a choice between Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Kyler Murray, which one are you leaving?
For the Miami Dolphins. Well, Joe
For
Burrow,
any franchise, you're not picking Kyler Murray of those three. You're not.
But so just if I may go in full disclosure here, and JT knows this, I was not a believer in giving Kyler this contract at this time. I want him to prove it one more year. Now, with that said, though, I've got to agree with JT because, Justin, you keep giving these stats and that he shouldn't have got this contract and this and that. The question is the clause. And and there's a couple things there. I think it's an insult to any professional football player that this sort of clause is in there. On top of that, a black quarterback because of what JT said.
Right, before
like
I
there are,
continue,
I do
just want to ask you a quick question. If you know your quarterback, because we are acting like the Arizona Cardinals or like us on the outside looking in, well, they are really on the inside. If you are a coach and you know your quarterback, forget what race he is, huh? If you are a coach and you know your quarterback is not studying and is not doing homework, would you not put that clause in there?
Justin, it's happened before. Johnny Manziel. I can guarantee you the Cardinals would not have done this to Josh Rosen. There's been quarterbacks that have been partiers. Kyle Murray.
Matt Leinart was right there. I don't remember that being in his contract.
But none of the quarterbacks as far as running big contracts.
Kyler Murray, as far as listen, Johnny Manziel was a first-round pick. That's kind of a big deal. Like, that contract's a big deal. Kyler Murray, as far as we know, is not a partier. So and this is the other thing, what's 4 hours in a game week really going to do an independent study? Honestly, what is it going to do?
But this tells me he's not doing any.
Get it? He's in the meetings. He's in the game plan. You keep him in the building. That is why this clause is not needed on several levels. And I'm with JT. There is no way. Even if we don't think Josh Allen's a partier, even if he was a huge partier, there's no way they put this in his clause. There's no way they put this, I believe, in a white quarterback's clause. There's just no way. And just because they didn't put it in Mahomes and some other players' contracts doesn't mean that it's still a bad look and that they feel a certain way about Kyler Murray. And so it goes back to, sorry, Jerm, if you got breaking news.
Just wanted to say, Aaron Wilson just tweeted that Roger Goodell will likely significantly increase the punishment by adding 4 to 6 games and a multi-million-dollar fine to Deshaun Watson. So what we predicted a little earlier in the show does indeed seem to be happening. So look for that probably tomorrow at some point or maybe later tonight. All right, go ahead, Don. Sorry. I just wanted to get that out there.
So going back to the clause part is that I think the one for Zion is real because, again, when Kyler's in the building, you can go over film with him. You can give him the X's and O's. And if he doesn't go home, if he goes home and doesn't study one more minute, at least you feel comfortable. Hey, we've covered what we needed to cover, Kyler. If you want to do more, great. I don't need to put that in your contract because you're a professional. But with Zion or these weight clauses is, yeah, that's great. We can control what you eat at the building, how you work out. But when you go home, you're just like everybody else. You may be eating things that you should not be eating as a professional athlete. That may have to be in there for certain players based on position, based on the sport, and based on that particular individual. So with the weight one, hey, Zion, if you do your thing, that's fine. But with Kyler, I don't agree they should have. It's just a bad look. And it tells your teammates, And if you're the coach and you're the GM, it tells your team what sort of leader you think you have.
But
Terrible look.
Before Jordan gets in here, we keep forgetting we are talking as people on the outside. You don't think the teammates already know the type of leader Kyler Murray isn't? As I said, we keep forgetting.
Then why even extend him?
Exactly.
If his studying is such an issue, then why even extend him? Because you're already saying he's not worth the money, so they should just let him go.
Because we all know how this goes. What is the other option? They don't have another option. Like, what are you going to do?
Justin,
you're
I
not
hate to
going
tell
to
you, they signed him because he's a damn good quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback.
Because you don't pay Kyler Murray, then you have to restart all over again and hope to find a franchise quarterback.
Justin, to JT's point, outside of Hopkins, who missed games,
there's nobody else on
that team. There's no skilled player on that team that would have been on the Steelers team last year, and we couldn't run the ball. And that has nothing to do with Najee Harris.
Good quarterbacks elevate players. Like we keep forgetting these.
But they also need help from coaching.
I'll give you this. Ben got the Steelers to the playoffs. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and Kyler did the same thing. Neither won a playoff game last year, and Ben had, in my opinion, infinite better skilled position players.
Ben is at the end of his career. Kyler is not even entering his prime yet. Like, we can't compare the two.
Hey, still a starter in the NFL. He made over $20 million easily last year as a starting NFL quarterback. That's what the Steelers thought of him. So Cardinals aren't that far off.
We care about this because it's Kyler Murray and he's a popular NFL player. Franchise quarterbacks study film. I mean, come on, guys. let's not pretend like they don't. Like the good ones, the great ones. We just watched Tom Brady on his special that ESPN keeps playing. That he get 12 hours of film a day somehow. Like he's constantly watching 4 or 5 hours a day of film, even during practice days. You have a quarterback who admittedly says he doesn't watch film. I'm investing $40 million a year to you. Yeah, I want you to do at least 4 hours a week. He already said he doesn't watch film. Other quarterbacks are going home with laundry bags of film. Kirk Cousins is a film junkie, they say. Read everything about him. Like, it's these guys. Josh Allen studies film like a motherfucker, like Broncos. Russell Wilson has got these guys in there watching film to the point where Jerry Jeudy is now attending the film sessions with the quarterbacks. The great ones watch film, and Kyler Murray doesn't. And that's why it's in there. There's two damning things about this that make it hilarious to me. The fact that you said that they even had to put this in there and that they took it out because it got out. I wouldn't even have leaked that. Like, I don't even know how that got out.
Kyler Murray's agent probably put that out there.
Or Kyler Murray didn't read his contract and he just saw the dollars and read it. Like, that's how I looked at it. You didn't even read your contract, bro. So that's even worse to me, that you're just that big of a doof.
You got agents.
You're not even going to read.
You got agents for that.
Yeah, you do.
Your agents.
They knew it was in there, Jerm. They knew it was in there.
Yeah.
Either way,
like he's like a 5-year-old just running around. Like he
acts
he
like
has no idea what
when he doesn't.
Like if he was 6 foot, y'all wouldn't be talking about him this way.
Look at his history, bro. Like, he acts like it. Like, when things don't everything's good when they're 7-0 and they're beating up on like the Bears. But the moment there's some adversity hitting, I gotta delete the Cardinals from my social media and all this nonsense. Like, yeah, you're gonna study film.
That's everybody. Ben Roethlisberger called out Antonio Brown because they're
worth. Like, Ben Roethlisberger, if you ask for a raise on your job and we're like, Jerm out there being a child for asking for more money, like, that's
no. This is not him. He's not childish for asking for more money. You were paid what you were only worth what somebody's willing to pay you. Ask for your money, bro. Go for it. However, when they say nah, dog, or hold on, or you get an answer you don't like hearing, you don't go and throw temper tantrums. You don't not participate during games. You don't
in the NFL. That's what works. That's how you get.
That's not what works.
That's literally how
people get paid.
Deebo Samuel just did it.
Deebo Samuel did not do that. He didn't delete them off of his social media.
He complained, though. He complained and made a big deal about it.
Yeah, but that's different. Hey, I want this money. They're not giving it to me. That's cool. I ain't going to talk about the Niners. I'm not. He showed up to practice. He showed up to workouts. He did what he was supposed to do.
So let me get this straight. So because Kyler Murray does a passive-aggressive thing by deleting social media, but Deebo Samuel is saying, I'm not showing up. I want to be traded. And he's all in the club like, oh, Deebo, are you coming back? Like, how is that more or less a distraction? It's just different ways about going about it. They're both distractions.
Both Samuel wanted to be sure that he had a long career because the San Francisco 49ers would not stop using him as a running back. So let's not pretend we don't know Deebo's issue. And second and most importantly, I don't know why JD and Don keep dodging this. like Neo in the Matrix. Why are y'all not addressing the fact that his teammates have come out and said this guy is not a leader? They're echoing the franchise's comments.
But what's that got to do with the clause? Like, you're missing the point, Justin. If you don't want to pay him, don't pay him. But what's the clause got to do with all of this other stuff you're mentioning?
It shows that they know what they have at their quarterback, and we're pretending like this is a quarterback.
So let me
ask committed.
Let me ask you this then. Of the two clauses, if you only had to pick one, both of these guys are on your team. Zion, you own the Pelicans. Zion's on your team. You own Arizona. Kyler's on your team. They're both under contract. You've got to sign them. There's no other option. You got to sign them to these contracts. If you only could pick one clause, are you putting it in Kyler's for 4 hours independent study or the 295 pounds for Zion?
Oh, but
I'm picking the weight clause. I'm
picking the weight clause too. Yeah.
Thank you. There you go.
I've not touched Zion for obvious reasons because it's obvious that clause has to be in there when you only play 85 games out of a possible 3 seasons. Like, that's obvious, that clause. Like I purposely did not address that because, like, that's a no-brainer. Like, I am going to protect myself from a guy who can't stop going at Burger King and McDonald's to play basketball. Like, keep out of McD's. Like, stop it now. Like, so, like, I'm not dealing with Zion because it's too obvious. When you only play 85 games in 3 seasons and miss an entire season because you're 320 pounds plus. Like, I'm not even dealing with that. That was too obvious. So when I saw it, I was like, I'm not touching that Zion thing. Like, what's Germ really asking? That's crazy. Like, I'm going to deal with this.
I just wanted to make fun of the fact that he was fat. That was it. I don't really care about Zion either. That was all.
Well, I'll ask you guys one more. This is my last question I'll ask about this. And I heard this question when Kyler first came into the league, and it's stuck with me ever since. And I feel like this conversation is a microcosm of that. How sure are we that when you say, like, oh, his teammates say he's not a leader, doesn't have to do with the fact of the way they see him? Like, how many guys are that small and going to command respect from guys who are like 6'7", 350
Russell Wilson and Drew Brees did it.
But Russell Wilson's not a little guy. Like, come on, he's not a little guy.
Right, he's under 6 foot. He's 6 foot.
And we're talking about Drew Brees as like a Super Bowl Hall of Famer, like down the line. But you're saying that, okay, Kyler Murray, what, 5'8", 5'9", however.
How many other quarterbacks have 5 straight seasons of 70% completion percentage? Oh, that's one. That's Drew Brees. You know what I mean? He has records that won't be touched in the passing era still, and he played in the non-quarterback era, or at least most of it. Yeah, so I will not tolerate Drew Brees slander.
No,
I've watched Drew Brees when I was stationed down in Louisiana, part the entire Shreveport Highway like Moses parting the Red Sea because they won that damn Super Bowl down there.
You're bringing up Drew Brees and Russell Wilson. You and nobody else watching sports has ever said they're little. They don't talk about them being little humans the way that people
Drew
talk
Brees,
about
Russell Wilson
is like he's a toddler. Like
Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray are the same height.
Anybody talk about him the way they talk about Kyler? That matters.
JT, Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray are the same height.
Where going, JT. This is your Steph Curry argument all over again. You think that little people get no love? I'm seeing you know.
Don't bring up Steph Curry because I don't want you to log out. Because I know how that gets you going.
But speaking of Steph Curry, hey, Nike, NBA, fire Nike for making uniforms. They're awful. They're stealing money from you. They're trash and they're awful. Let's move on. I can't believe we're already an hour in. I don't care about time, but we got to move on here. Kyler Murray, stop treating NFL like online traffic school and go study some film. All right, this is not DeVry. It's not the DeVry Institute, so you can get your general GED studies instead of going to college like real people like Don and myself. Guys, we all think our NFL teams are the best. We're the best. My Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. Dolphins. Hey, shout out to Brian Flores. You were right. This is not about our team. We love our teams. We think we're the best. All of us are going to go undefeated, whatever. We need to know what NFL division rival that I'm not going to say scared of. Don't say, scared is a strong word, but like, you peek over, it's like you're mowing your lawn. You notice your neighbor got some new hedges. Noticed he got some new things popping in the lawn, got some new lights. And you're kind of like, what was Earl doing over there? What's going on? Don, go ahead. Give us somebody in division who poses the biggest threat. I'm not saying it's like a big threat, but like, who's the person that you're like, all right, I see what they're doing over there.
The entire AFC North.
Oh,
no,
relax,
don't do that to
Justin.
my guy.
Worry
Worried
about
about
your
Lamar.
weak
That's why he didn't want me
NFC
to wear my
North
Ravens
over
hat.
there, right? We're the big brother of the North, and you're the little brother of the North divisions. Listen, it's always Baltimore. I got to say, it's always Baltimore. I mean, they play physical. Their organization, for the most part, is well run, just like the Steelers. Lamar Jackson's going to be healthy, so that's dangerous right there. The running backs probably will be more healthy than they were a year ago, especially around like this time going into August. They just seem to all fall like flies. And I think the defense will be improved as well. Patrick Queen another year. They drafted Kyle Hamilton. And I think their secondary is going to be better. Bateman will be healthy. I know JT and I are big fans of him. Second year for Duvernay, but then I also like Tylan Wallace, who they drafted. So Lamar may have some better weapons than he's had, which is always, scary to think of in terms of kind of has done all of this without any great weapons. So it's the Ravens for sure. I mean, I'm not big on the Bengals this year, and the Browns, it could go one way or another for the Browns based on this whole Deshaun and if it's the distraction, but it's Baltimore for sure.
Think about this, that the Browns ousted a quarterback that went into Pittsburgh in the playoffs and beat them. And now they have $230 million tied up to a quarterback who most likely won't play for 2 years. That's hilarious. Justin, go ahead.
I want to push back on Don just a bit. Mark Andrews has something to say about not having, or Lamar Jackson not having a great weapon. Like Mark Andrews.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair. But I mean, I think when we think about that, we're thinking unless it's Gronk, we're thinking receivers and
he hasn't had a number one receiver. That's a fair. Yeah. He hasn't had like
an explosive running back, right? He's made that. Lamar's made that running game. He hasn't had that explosive running back. Ingram was good, but a lot of it was because it was the offensive line and Lamar Jackson.
No,
I think this Dobbins could be that guy.
Yeah.
No, this is a black quarterback who carries a franchise, not Kyler Murray. But that's another topic for another day. So yeah, I fear no one in the NFC North. That's also like the reality is the Vikings it's always going to be the Vikings for quite a while until Justin Fields gets a better situation out there in Chicago or probably leaves because that's a franchise that wants tearing right down. But yeah, know that they've gotten rid of Mike Zimmer, who probably deserves to be a defensive coordinator or a secondary coach and not have to do or worry about head coaching duties. Yeah, the team is going to be better. I thought they were always too passive with a defensive-minded coach like Mike Zimmer. So getting, the Rams offensive coordinator, and that's a team that, for the last 2 years have gone 3 wide more than any other team in the NFL. So you're going to see a lot more, especially from Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Hopefully, I know you should never bet on this, but get a healthy Dalvin Cook. Knock on wood for the Vikings fans out there. And as we've talked about prior to this show going live, I think Kirk Cousins really does get a bad rap. So, and it's not like Minnesota has not had their share of bad kickers. So it's always going to be the Vikings as far as it's concerned. That is a team, especially when you look at their potential offense with those weapons. Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson on the outside, those give us nightmares. Although I will say, I think next season, and I'll say this right now, or this season, the Green Bay Packers will have a top 3 secondary in the league, but, that's another hot take for another time. But the Minnesota Vikings, indeed, and we're going to see them from as early as week 1, but that's a team that gives me the most fits. But, I mean, we're in a division with the Lions and the Bears, so I'm like...
Hey, don't sleep on Dan Campbell's anti-fragile Lions. This one's easy for me and JT.
It's not.
For me, it's the Dolphins. I'm nervous. Not nervous, but they've done the most to close the gap. They're probably going to lead the NFL in yards after catch, and it's only because Tua Tagovailoa can't throw the ball more than 20 yards. So thank God they drafted Tyreek Hill, and they'll just throw like little 5-10 yard slant routes, and then Tyreek Hill will run for 50 yards. I mean, but having somebody who can help Jalen Waddle get one-on-one coverage, it's going to help Tua because he could just do the old Patrick Mahomes, fuck it, he's down there somewhere throws, and I'm assuming he will connect on a few of those. I'm nervous about their offensive line, getting Teron Armstead, Connor Williams. Like it's, that will help Tua as well. I don't think Tua's trash. I just think he's in the Kirk Cousins, Alex Smith tier where you need a bunch of perfection around him. And so I think Tua can't make it happen on his own, but if he has like this offensive line that they've invested in, that'll help them. And then they signed Melvin Ingram to help Agba, Emmanuel Agba out. So, their defense is going to be pretty nice too. So and then obviously I'm kind of nervous about Mike McDaniels. We're going to see if all that San Francisco magic was Mike McDaniel, and if he's going to bring that to Miami. So good. JT, tell him on the Bills of the GOAT.
Here, right? I want to see short yards after the catch, like those short little swing passes, only matter if the defense is actually respecting you and playing back, huh? When the defense is up and playing 9 and 10 in the box.
So we're gonna learn a lot. So okay, Justin. So basically, he said Tyreek Hill overrated.
I didn't say that. I'm saying,
hey, he said nobody's gonna respect that. You're not gonna get that shit off.
If you don't have a quarterback that can stretch the field, why are you playing off the lane? Like you're gonna sit down and say, "Well, Tua, if you're gonna beat us deep, show us that you can do it."
But I'm saying with Tyreek there, he'll command the attention, and I think we all think Jalen Waddle is good enough to beat one-on-one coverage. The hope with a revamped offensive line is that Tua can connect on some of those deeper passes. But that's what I think New England's going to have one of the biggest setbacks. Like their defense is going to be awful. They don't even have coordinators. They don't have a defensive coordinator. I don't know what's going on in New England. The Jets, Zach Wilson's banging people's moms, so his focus is clearly not on football.
Oh, that's the MVP season confirmed for Zach Wilson.
I mean, the Jets are the Jets. I mean, BUMS, bums. I'm not worried about the Jets. But go ahead, JT. Tell them why my Bills are the GOAT.
First of all, I got to go back to something Justin said. He said that the Packers are going to have a top 3 secondary, but he's also saying Alan Lazard is mossing people every day at practice. So either the Packers are trash or Lazard is going to be the next Cooper Kupp. So I don't know what's going on there. And I will not.
You didn't hear him. You didn't hear Aaron Rodgers. He said he went from one Hall of Famer to another. Alan Lazard. Get the jacket ready.
Oh, all right. I will not be talking about the Bills because this show has too much Bills content. Who do I have my eye on? It's the same damn person I've had my eye on for 20 damn years. It's Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Like, okay, until he's gone, I always have to keep my eye on them. Like, we want to talk about Tom Brady kicking Father Time's ass, Bill Belichick right there with him because they still moving right along. And I'm legit nervous about them is because nobody has any expectations for them. And they're still the same team. Physical. I like Ramondre Stevenson. I like Damian Harris. They're always going to be able to run the ball. How many times have we seen the Patriots jettison star defensive players and just keep on going? Like, they're going to have guys ready to play. That system's going to be doing the same thing. And all the talk I'm hearing about, I don't think he's that good, but he's better than Tua. They're like Mac Jones, looks much better this offseason. They're going to open it up. So it's got to be the Patriots. Like, this is the easiest thing. Death, taxes, and Bill Belichick knowing what the hell he's doing. Like, if I were the Bills, this is who I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the Dolphins. Like, I don't trust Mike McDaniel. Kyle Shanahan is the reason that shit happens on his team. So, Patriots, that's who you should be watching out for. It's the same team that's been haunting me, and Germ is the same team that's been haunting you your entire life.
No, we put the nail in that coffin last year. We figured that thing out, and
y'all won one game. I know. I saw it. Y'all won one game and thought it was,
that's it.
Super Bowl.
That's all it is, man. That's all it is. So this NBA offseason, we've seen a lot of movement. Probably one of the most off seasons so far that I can remember. So thinking back to free agency, draft, everything in totality, and I'm sure other things may happen before tip off, but Don, actually, I'll start with you, Justin. Justin, which team in your mind took the biggest step? We'll do back first. Who took the biggest step backward?
Backward? Mm-hmm. This is going to shock everyone here, so get ready. It's my own Phoenix Suns. And the reason I say that is because when you went from a finals run, right, and you were exposed in the finals with the Chris Paul issues, but that's another day for another, another time for another episode. And DeAndre,
I'll bring the whiskey for you, man. Don't worry about it.
Thank you so much. And then again, you got exposed like 2 rounds earlier by Dallas Mavericks for the same issues. Once again, Chris Paul in the playoffs and DeAndre Ayton's inability to do anything outside of what Chris Paul and Devin Booker do for you. So when KD announced that he wanted to be traded, I figured, well, we got the haul for him. Like, we have DeAndre Ayton, we have Mikal Bridges, we have Cam Johnson, and we have picks. Like, no one's going to be able to match that haul. But the problem is Brooklyn didn't want DeAndre Ayton, like, and I can't blame him because I don't want him either. And on top of that, then, instead of, hoping to swing him for somebody like Miles Turner, who can protect the rim for you at least and then space the floor, you let Indiana force you into having to sign him for 4 years, $130-something odd million. And no, you can't even trade DeAndre Ayton before January. Like, it may not sound like a step back for everyone, but you knew going into this offseason you had to get another scorer, another playmaker of sorts. You could not rely on 36, 37-year-old Chris Paul in the playoffs anymore. And teams are just loading up on Devin Booker right now. So having been forced into signing DeAndre Ayton long-term, a player that James Jones clearly does not want, and a player that the head coach, Monty Williams, probably wants even less. No, I believe, honestly, genuine, I can't believe I have to say this as a Phoenix Suns fan, but the Suns title contention window is closed.
Oh my God, already? Oh no.
Yep.
Don,
Like,
who took the biggest step back?
JT, I'm sorry, man. It was your Miami Heat. I mean, it was just lack of doing anything. No Durant, because it's always that expectation Pat Riley's going to pull something off. No Durant, no Donovan Mitchell, even though JT doesn't want Donovan Mitchell, but still, Donovan Mitchell still would have made your team better. No Donovan Mitchell, no Kyrie Irving. You lose PJ Tucker, which a lot of just common regular Heat fans would be like, oh, who's PJ Tucker? Well, he's part of that Heat culture, right? He's that tough guy that gets rebounds. He's a Pat Riley type of guy. That's a big loss. And so you didn't get better. You lost PJ Tucker. The only way you can save yourselves is by making some sort of deal for Kevin Durant, Mitchell, maybe even Kyrie, dare I say. But so the Heat still have a chance to improve their offseason. But I think right now they've taken a step back because teams in the East, some of them have gotten better.
Go ahead, JT.
You see how in a partnership, one person takes the high road, the other person does it. So you don't know he's a Magic fan, so of course he's going to say the Heat. I'm not going to bash on your Magic.
I was wrong about that number 1 draft pick, Don. I was wrong. I thought this dude was buns. Hey, he all right, man. Y'all might got one.
I agree. I'm coming around on that pick.
Boy, you still not gonna get his jersey.
I am not coming around.
I bought New Orlando gear.
Yeah, but you ain't buy a Banchero jersey.
Well, no, I'm a grown man.
No. You got to. This is the first big news y'all have had in forever. You got to support that. If not, you're not.
Yeah, you got to hang it on the wall like I do. I don't wear those fucking jerseys back there. That's hang them on the wall.
Hey, Jerm, I don't make the big bucks that you do. You know.
My bad. Hey, you know.
JT and JT don't pay me enough.
Oh man,
that's because you
got to get that lawyer money back.
So biggest step back for me, got to be the Utah Jazz. Only because how are they going to spring a full blown rebuild out of nowhere and on the low, if like on everyone? Quinn coach gone. Like I don't understand that. He's top 10 coach in the league. He's gone. That's a big deal. They ship off Gobert. They ship off Royce O'Neal, 2 really good starters. And now they're trying to trade Donovan Mitchell. Like nobody's saying it, but this is what a rebuild looks like. Like this is a team that they were supposed to be, okay, we're a top 3-4 team in the West. We're supposed to be going to the Western Conference Finals. Maybe we can get into an NBA championship. And now you go from that to this. Like no coach, 2 of your stars are gone, and then the glue player is gone. Like this is a rebuild, and nobody's calling it a rebuild. So they have to take the biggest step back.
Yeah, but I think there's I think no one calling it a rebuild is because it's obvious. I think everyone realizes, well, the Jazz are in a full rebuild.
It's not just a step back to the 3-point line. Like, they taking a step back to the half court to reset the shot clock. Like, it's all of that. Because I have them written down, but I was like, that's too easy, right? Like,
that's what I'm saying. It was too easy.
They purposely did it. Whereas I think some of the other teams we're mentioning is they're still trying to win championships, but these teams haven't made those moves and now have slipped a little.
And they definitely reset because they got the plainest, most boring uniforms I've ever seen on an NBA team. So they just went full default on everything, just stripped the colors out and just started over. I'm going to go with the Dallas Mavericks. And it's only because they made this, I don't want to call it was kind of magical, if that. So what do you do to add or to help that? You take away the only other ball handler that Luka Doncic has, right? You lose Jalen Brunson, which is huge. You don't add anything other than Christian Wood, oft injured Christian Wood to that. It seems like a team that was ready to ascend to that upper echelon in the Western Conference definitely took themselves right back out of it. As quickly as they got there, they went right back out. And so I don't know what they do. If they can pull a Kyrie Irving trade off, that'd be the only thing I would say that would save them. But for me, for how their season and how their ascension was going, to me, they took a big step back. I can't give Miami a step back because they didn't step anywhere. They just stood still, like Don was saying. Everybody in the East made the moves that they needed to make to be better. And Miami didn't do anything. So,
well, that's why I feel it's a step back. I mean, when you're not staying to your competition, you're stepping back then, right? You're going to.
Okay, I got you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
JT, other way. Who stepped up? Who made the best improvement?
This was actually really tough because, you could pick so many people. I didn't want to pick the Sixers, obviously, because I'm a hater and I know you're probably going to pick them. And then you look at the teams that are normally bad that did really good, in the draft, the Pistons, the Rockets, I think they all took, steps forward. But for me, it's the Nets because they didn't lose KD, they didn't lose Kyrie, and they still got Ben Simmons, and it doesn't look like they're going to trade anybody. So technically, they're still moving forward with the plan that they had when they got rid of James Harden. And this was supposed to be a championship team. So you have all those guys that you were hoping on they would be there. And also, you didn't sell them off and get ripped off by trade. So I don't know what's going to happen. But right now, it's the Nets. It's because this team was, by Vegas, rated as the top team to win the East when the playoffs started last year. And they got the same guys coming back. So, and they weren't supposed to be that way. Let's step forward.
That team is a dam built on toothpicks. I mean, that thing's about to more power to you. Justin, go ahead. Who stepped up?
I rant and rave on the Boston Celtics. I pick them apart every time I had a chance. So I'm going to make them my 1B first because to get Malcolm Brogdon for absolutely nothing, a guy who is going to play your point guard position and can defend arguably up to 3 positions. That's possible, but you gave up absolutely nothing to get him. And my biggest concern of that team has always been their offense, their inability to connect the pieces on the floor because they don't have a true point guard or a true facilitator. Malcolm Brogdon is not exactly the next coming to Steve Nash, but at least he helps in that regard. They don't fall off a cliff defensively because he's a good defender and he spaces the floor. And on top of that, they add somebody like Danilo Gallinari who can come off the bench, play that, small ball 4, space the floor. I think there's a stat I saw where he hit 46% of his open threes last season. That's crazy. So to add those 2 pieces to a team that went to the NBA Finals, but that's just my 1B because my 1A is Denver. By the mere fact of health alone, you're going to get back Jamal Murray. You're going to get back Michael Porter Jr., hopefully. And then you've shored up your biggest area of contention, which is your perimeter defense, and signing Bruce Brown. Yeah, I think of all the teams, when you look at last season I think the Denver Nuggets getting back their young players and improving that defense, I think they're the ones who made the biggest leap.
So before Don goes, we have Lance Dominguez in there that says, "Go Pack, go." He wants to know who signed that helmet. You don't know who you're talking to. That's Big Dick Justin. Everybody signed that. surprised that Vince Lombardi himself didn't sign that helmet.
I can't tell y'all who signed this helmet because then y'all gonna laugh. But for full disclosure,
no, Donald Driver. Oh no,
for full
Don the
disclosure,
Magic Man.
Jordan
Mikowski.
Love signed it. Oh, Jordan Love.
hell
Oh
no.
no.
Yeah,
God,
I'm
you want to talk about black quarterbacks getting the shaft? Jordan Love getting no love. Don, who took this biggest step up?
Germ, I don't want to steal your thunder.
Yeah,
do you
man,
have the
please do.
Sixers? Because if you got the Sixers,
I don't.
Okay.
I didn't put them because I knew JT would have something to say.
Okay, I'll go with the Sixers then because I believe it's the Sixers. I just didn't want to steal your thunder, and you know more than me, so please chime in. I was looking at all the different moves that were made throughout the whole NBA, and I kept coming back to the Sixers like, wow, they're already in place, and Harden takes less money. I mean, that right there is a huge step forward for just, society. I mean, that he's taking less money to help other teammates come in to help him win a title. So right there, they've already won. They've won the offseason for the strippers, right there. So, but then I've mentioned him before, and I know everyone's going to laugh, but PJ Tucker, man, you start looking at this guy, you're like, whoa, Milwaukee, Miami, like this guy's starting to become like that glue guy that when you need that rebound, you need that defensive stop, it's PJ Tucker, culture builder. Yep. And on top of that, you've got Daniel House Jr. coming in. You're like, oh, that's not a big deal. Well, here's a 3-and-D player that played with Harden and PJ Tucker in Houston. So now you got some continuity. And then on top of that, bring in a guy that I think's really good. He was just in a situation that he wasn't allowed to flourish. They trade for DeAnthony Melton. I mean, that is a pretty big move, in my opinion, that is under the radar. It's kind of like that. He was basically the Jalen Brunson, just he got even less hype than Jalen Brunson, but the dude can play, and I think Philly's a good situation for him, just another scorer for them. I like what they've got going. I'm not picking them because they're Philly, but Germ, you got to be excited.
So you do know, right, that you're going to be the white guy that replaces Bert now, right? Like Bert is off the show officially. And Bert
stuff about sports with Don. We're going to trade. I'm proposing a trade here. So listen, now that you brought up the Sixers, because I really wasn't going to say the Sixers because the Sixers did exactly what they needed to do, probably better than anybody else in the league. What were they lacking? They were lacking depth and scoring off the bench. Now they got that in Daniel House and DeAnthony Melton. They needed consistent rotation guys, and I'm talking 6 through 8, maybe 9, that can help out. Now, the only thing we're missing is a true backup center. I don't know why we let Andre Drummond go to Chicago. That would have been just icing on the cake, especially when James Harden was willing to give up money. Chicago basically gave him an offer he couldn't refuse. So maybe I don't blame the Sixers as much, but to me, that should have been the number one priority. But DeAnthony Melton's 24 years old. Daniel, like these three, all we needed were guys to be better off the bench than Shake Milton and Furkan Korkmaz and George Niang. And all three of those players we got are better than all of them. So, and we needed a dog. If I'm praying to the basketball gods that Patrick Beverley gets bought out, because if that happens, I'm streaking all over North Carolina. I'm running butt ass naked with my Joel Embiid jersey tied around my neck like a cape. That will finish it off for me. But to answer the question of the topic.
Wait, before I go, is it possible that I can cancel any flight plans I have to North Carolina right now?
Yeah. Don't go to coastal North Carolina because I'll be butt ass naked on Carolina Beach. Atlanta did the most. Did you watch the Drew League game? Did you see the new Big Three forming in Atlanta? Exactly what Atlanta needed. They needed somebody to help Trae Young out, and they got somebody who the Sixers could have had if they didn't want to give up Matisse Thybulle's bum ass. They didn't want to give up an extra draft pick. They could have had DeJounte Murray, and that would have been perfect. We could have had Malcolm Brogdon, but we didn't want to give up draft picks, and it's ridiculous. We would have been better off because we would have still had Seth and Andre Drummond, but that's a different topic. Atlanta got the upgrade they needed to put them in a position that they want to go. If you want to be competitive, you needed to make this move. The Sixers needed to make this move because they just ran out of gas. The Joel Embiid broke his face, broke his hand, and they didn't have anybody else. James Harden looks great. I don't know if anybody's seen any recent photos of him. He's working out. He looks like he was injured last year. Nobody's going to take me off of that opinion, and he looks perfectly healthy now. He's working out.
Speaking of fat clauses.
Yeah, well, listen, he can shed. I don't know what kind of shit he's doing because he's fat one week and then he's fucking ripped the next. I don't know. I need to take whatever drugs.
0 to 100,
easy. I want to know what kind of fucking drugs he's taking because he's making that shit work. But Atlanta, like the Sixers were going to be in the mix with or without a lot of these moves. Yeah, they probably wouldn't have made it as any farther, but they were still going to be a top 5 seed in the East or top 3 seed in the East, wherever they were last year, with a full season of Harden. Atlanta was about to just fall off the face of the earth, and then they made a move like this. And so, to me, it was a tie between the Timberwolves and I hate on Rudy Gobert a little bit, but they added one of the best defenders in the league. Like that helps. It helps Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know how you're going to defend that team, and they didn't lose Anthony Edwards or D'Angelo Russell. I mean, that's a pretty. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of depth, but
does it help Karl Anthony Towns or does it expose him? Because now you're asking one of the worst defenders
put him on the
to
perimeter.
go on the perimeter.
He's going to turn into Kevin Love. It should help him because he's a good enough shooter to be Kevin Love. Yes, I think it will help him for sure.
He's going to get exposed because, as I said, like you're getting rid of.
He won't be touching the ball as much. He won't be touching the ball in the interior much. He can spot up and shoot. Yeah,
right, but. The thing is, Karl Anthony Towns is an underrated post scorer to the point that he doesn't even realize it himself. No, you've lost. No, he's not going to score any paint. No, you're just basically turning him into Kevin Love, as you said. You've gotten rid of your emotional leader on the floor and the only defender that you had of any worth outside of Anthony Edwards and Patrick Beverley. And no, you are peering arguably the 2 worst defenders in the entire league out on the perimeter in Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. God help us. God help us.
Look, we're gonna see.
Nobody's getting to the rim though.
Yeah,
ain't sure. Nobody. Yeah, you gotta score. Ain't nobody. Yeah,
outside of Golden State and maybe Phoenix. I mean, hey, chuck up those threes. Maybe that's
why you brought Ayton back.
Maybe because of this. Maybe that's their new thinking. Hey, teams are gonna shoot themselves out of the gym, and we're gonna be there to clean up all those bricks.
Germ. About the 76ers, do you think all these new moves gets them over the hump with their Brooklyn Nets woes, though? Because, I mean, they owned y'all last year with Harden. So you think that this push y'all over the hump with them?
Yeah. And I think that game, there was a lot going on in that game. And
not much because it was over like a quarter.
Yeah, I think the Sixers tried too hard. They have this thing with them, especially with Doc at the helm. There's certain games they try too hard instead of letting the game come to them, and they get stuck in this mode of, they have to outshoot themselves out of a slump instead of doing what works. And I hope, and they fix that in the playoffs. Like, stop jacking threes and giving up free turnovers when you're not making your shots. Now, a lot of that had to do is that we were relying on Furkan Korkmaz to make wide open 3-pointers.
And now you're
I don't have that
PJ
fear now.
Tucker.
We're PJ Tucker, who's really good at it. D'Angelo Russell, not D'Angelo Russell, D'Anthony Melton, and Daniel House. I mean, we upgraded. I'm not worried. And then, of course, Joel Embiid, who's the best player in the East and the 3rd best player in the NBA, maybe. You know what I mean? So it's like
Giannis retired this offseason. I wasn't told about this.
Joel Embiid's better than Giannis. I don't want to hear that nonsense.
We're not doing this.
Whoa.
We're not.
Listen, Embiid was the MVP in my opinion, but he's not better than Giannis. Come on now.
He's a better defender. He's a more versatile scorer. He's
We'll
stronger.
do this another time.
Okay. Anyway,
was at the coach though. They had coaching positions in real upgrade that you truly needed, but again, that's another conversation for now.
Yeah. Well, listen. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. I will say about DeAndre Ayton, I find it hilarious that he was like, man, fuck Phoenix, dog. Fuck Phoenix. Y'all don't want me. I don't want to be here. And then, like, they match his Indiana Pacers thing. He's like, man, Phoenix is where I always wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? This place called home. The fuck out of here, dog. Like,
what do you expect them to say?
Yeah.
Don't say nothing.
If they give him the money, he's going to be like, yes,
dog,
daddy. He'll come
listen,
right back.
No. don't say nothing. It's all good. We get what's going on.
No, but it's
I
different
hate
though.
when
They've
they do
been
that.
But
disrespecting
Jerm,
DeAndre Ayton for a while. Like,
Right,
look,
Oh,
when
cut that
Tristan
out.
talks about him. You would
But-
think he was Tristan Thompson.
by them
I
not
don't.
offering him,
That's fine and well.
that speaks volumes. By them not offering, hey, he's got a right to say something. They spoke by not offering, and he's going to man up and tell them what he thinks. Got to respect that, though.
No. I'm not. This is not about him talking shit about Phoenix. I'm with all that. I'm saying after he was signed to Indiana and they matched the offer sheet, he comes out with like a nice photoshopped, like, I love Phoenix, man. Phoenix is the place to be, man. I got my bones in the Phoenix streets. Like, shut the fuck up, dog.
He's talking about the city, not the team, though. That's legit.
Man, look, don't do that,
that's
man.
legit.
Nah,
That could
fuck
be true.
that shit.
Because he's raised there. He went to school in Arizona, so I get that. But JT, again, another episode for another time. DeAndre Ayton is not as good as people think he is, or his numbers suggest.
He's not as bad as you guys make him out to be either.
Boy, I've seen enough to know. I've seen enough.
I told you, he swear that Tristan Thompson is out there playing for him.
No, I mean, Tristan
That's
Thompson
how you
is
act.
Tristan Thompson's another level of bad, right? But God, gosh, the NBA Finals showed me all I needed to know about DeAndre Ayton.
Man, well, we're gonna see, man. Phoenix. Phoenix is getting new jerseys next year too. Not this year, but I saw a leak of the new Phoenix Suns jerseys. They're bringing back the old Sun. They look pretty fire. Yeah, they look fire. The new ones look super fire. So hopefully we do that. Nike,
just to lose.
Nike's they're like 50-50. Some of these jerseys are fire. Like, I looked at the Cleveland Cavaliers, they look incomplete. I like where they were going with it, but they don't look finished. Like, and these new Golden State alternate jerseys they're doing don't look good. Hey, Philly, stop fucking playing games. Give us the Iverson black jerseys. I don't want to see no fucking old 1970s bullshit. Nobody cares. I want to see the black Iverson jerseys. Get it done, Daryl Morey, you fat ass walrus. Choco Tacos discontinued. It's a sad day in all of our lives. We're all old guys here. We remember running to the ice cream truck, that old familiar sound. I don't think the kids appreciate what that is. So Choco Tacos discontinued. We're going to see prices and inflation soar. People are going to take pictures of their Choco Taco, their last lonely one that's been in their deep freezer for probably 3 years. And then they're probably going to sell it for, thousands of dollars because it's the last one on earth. So I wanted to know, you have 3 picks, right? We're doing an ice cream truck Hall of Fame. Don, what are your nominees for your ice cream truck Hall of Fame?
By the way, ice cream truck every day still comes through my neighborhood here in DC.
Same here, yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I mean, we still got them.
Yeah, we still got them.
My 3. Do you need an order, or you just need 3?
No, just give me 3. If you want to put them in order, just 3.
My nominees are the firecracker popsicle,
nice,
the strawberry shortcake bar, the bar, and then the Chipwich.
Is a good list. The Chipwich is a good one. One of those made my list. I'm not a big strawberry eclair shortcake guy, but I know that they're very popular. Justin, go ahead.
I'm not from here, as y'all can tell with the accent. So really, my ice cream truck is not your ice cream truck. But there are only 2 things I look forward to any ice cream truck coming through. And that's a chocolate sandwich and rum and raisin. Like, that's all they want.
Wealth. Look at this guy, rum and raisin. Look at that wealth. It's got fresh fruit trucks running around, like the fresh papaya and watermelon. This is fucking crazy, man. We're jealous. We're hating. It's all good. JT.
That's what happens when you're from the Caribbean, right?
Oh, man.
Hey, the DC ice cream trucks sell other things too, from what I've heard. So
the Jersey ones do too, brother. Don't hey, don't worry about it. I know all about that shit. Go ahead, JT.
I'll do 3 all the way up to 1. So at 3, I got the screwball. 2, I got the Flintstones push-up pop. And number 1 is the GOAT. Strawberry eclair.
Yeah, man.
That shit is so good that's the only thing that was in the ice cream truck that I legit tried to find in the store as a kid. And it was a while before that was available. So that is the undisputed GOAT, is the strawberry shortcake eclair.
I've never had it. I need to try that.
Yeah, the strawberry
Change your
short
life.
eclair. Oh yeah, and you can still get them. Like you go to any like corner store, they got them in that like sidewards freezer
I
with like the
live
ice
in
cream.
Wisconsin. What the hell is a corner store? Like, come on, guys.
Oh,
This is
you
not.
need to go.
This is not
Go to
New
a
York.
gas.
This is
Go
Vegas,
to,
I
go
got
to,
go to that.
yeah,
Like,
go to a
there are
gas
no
station
corner
that's not
stores
like.
in Wisconsin. Like cut that out.
Jerem, I'll tell
Nope.
you this: what you got to
Yeah.
do for him is, Justin, since you haven't had a strawberry shortcake, we'll make you a strawberry shortcake cheesecake. That's how you got to be introduced.
Yeah, yeah. That's
My
that's where it's
guys.
at.
My
Yeah.
guys.
I can't believe. Well, the Chipwich, I almost got confused because I thought somebody's going to say ice cream sandwich. Get the hell out of here! Ice cream sandwiches are nasty.
What? Wait. What?
The black, like the long rectangular one,
Shit
That's
that
what
sticks to your
that's
fingers.
it sticks
that's
to your
what I said.
fingers. Those are gross, dog. The Chipwich is different. That's the chocolate chip cookie with the ice cream with the chocolate chips
Put
on the.
me out of this show. There's nothing
Man.
like a chocolate ice cream sandwich.
Nah, the ice cream sandwiches are not great.
We're gonna send a truck to your house so you can experience this.
Yeah. Number 3 for me is the bomb pop, the firecracker, whatever one you want to call it. It was the firecracker coming up, the red, white, and blue gas, fruity ass ice cream popsicle that you had to be really careful around what friends you ate that around because the jokes were coming. But it was so delicious. It was super delicious. Number 2 for me is the drumstick. You know, the little ice cream cone with the nuts and the hardened chocolate. You get to eat it from the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
The drumstick was also, I love the drumstick. And number 1 for me was any character with the gumballs. Sonic, Mario, Ninja Turtles, whoever it was. That was the one. Get whoever was the flavor of the week. I need that. Give me that. The gum that lasted about, probably broke your teeth when you chewed it. And once you got through that hardened titanium shell, the flavor lasted about 15 seconds. But it was about the journey, and it was a good journey. And so any character with the gumball eyes, number 1 on my list. Does anybody have a game ball they want to give out?
I do.
Go ahead.
So my game ball goes out to the Texas Tech women's basketball, receiving the largest NIL deal in women's hoop history. They're getting paid $25,000 per player. Shout out to Level 13 for getting the deal done.
Hold on. I got something for that. Yes, a round of applause for that. That's fantastic. Justin or Don, you guys got a game ball y'all want to give out?
Go ahead, Don.
I'm going to give it out to, sorry if I stole anyone's thunder and you can elaborate more. I'm going to give the game ball to, rest in peace, Bill Russell. I mean, couldn't think of anyone else to give it to beside him. I mean, all-time winningest player, not only on the court, but off the court with, all the civil rights movement really at the forefront of it. And just everything you hear about the guy, not knowing him personally, just great guy, great human being, great teammate, and just had to go through so much to be that successful that couldn't think of anyone else really that would deserve this game ball.
I have to echo Don's sentiment, and I'm going to cite JT because I think he's the one that said I'm crazy for putting Bill Russell in my top 10, but he has to be there. Was it you?
That was definitely Jerm.
That was me.
Oh yeah, it was Jerm.
So I let him take that bullet. I definitely let him take the bullet.
Jerm ducked on that one.
I was sitting there
Yeah,
like, shit, we don't think.
Sorry for
Jerm
calling you
got
out
under
here,
the
Jerm,
desk.
but like when you hear about Bill Russell's exploits, they credit him for making the game vertical. Like yes, it was Jerm because they messaged Jerm this week showing one of his crazy blocks and asked him if he still feels that Bill Russell couldn't play in today's NBA, because if Rudy Gobert is playing, you best believe that Bill Russell could easily be an all-time. Well, I'd take Bill Russell right now. I'd take Bill Russell the day before he died, before DeAndre Ayton.
Oh my God.
Like, we're talking about in the time of Wilt Chamberlain, a 5-time MVP. That it goes like beyond a lot of what people remember. Like, this was a 5-time MVP, 11-time champion. But as Don really said, his accolades are what came off the court, especially being in support of Muhammad Ali when he, I don't want to say ducked or evaded the draft, but when he battled the draft, like this was the guy front and center behind him, and having to play in 1950s and 60s Boston of all places, not 1950s or 60s NBA, but Boston of all places, and being able to rise above violence, being a gentle giant, as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar called him. As I said, like, I could go on and on and on about what a civil rights activist this man is, but whatever I say will not do him justice. So rest in peace, Bill Russell. I don't know we're going to ever see a champion like you on or off the court.
Yeah. Bill Russell, obviously, collectively, I guess, can get the game ball, but obviously he's a pioneer of the game, one of the greatest. When Justin showed me that block, I said, absolutely, I will put Bill Russell back into the top 10, and I will very, very nicely show the door to LeBron James. My game ball.
He did tell me that.
I did. LeBron James can go.
He did tell me that.
You and Bryce and Bronny can go dunk outside of the top 10 basketball court. So my game ball is going to go to Ric Flair, the greatest professional wrestler of all time, who wrestled his final match at the ripe old age of 73. The dedication and the craftsmanship to fake a heart attack at 73 in front of your wife and your kids to sell a poke in the eye move is great. That's Ric Flair, that he was willing to fake a heart attack. I mean, everybody had to be goddamn nervous when he did that in the ring, and he only did it so everybody could pile up on him so he can do his patented eye poke of doom. And he wins the match, and that's great. That he has a pacemaker. He shouldn't be wrestling. He did it anyway. He's the GOAT. So shout out to Ric Flair. Shout out to Bill Russell. And shout out. You said Texas Tech women's basketball, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shout out to Texas Tech women's basketball. Follow my guys, JT and the Don, at JT and the Don, and Justin Marvel at this hashtag this just in, at this just one N. And hit them up on Instagram, because I like to support the people that support me. I thank you guys and appreciate you guys for joining me this week. You guys obviously are welcome anytime. You guys are the best. Yeah, Deshaun Watson, pack your bags. You're going to hell, and in hell, you're going to go see Art Briles. Tell him we said hi.